Welcome to A Mindful Life. This is the guitar side of A Mindful Life, and today we are doing a legendary solo by a legendary group, the Isley brothers. The solo is played by Isley, and we're going to dive right into the solo, Voyage to Atlantis. All right, so this is the 12th fret right here. This is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Your dots on your guitar are gonna, if you don't have fret markers like I don't, your dots are gonna be right here on the 15th, 17th, and 19th fret. We're gonna start on the B string on the 17th fret, and we're bending up a whole step. A long sustain on that note. This is how the solo starts out. The solo, by the way, is in 3 sections, and I have all 3 sections in this video. All right, so we bend from to here. That's a whole step bend, okay? And that sustains out. You may need an effect to have that sustain out as long as the record. And practice that bend, hearing that note go up a whole step, okay? That's your whole first part of the first section of the solo. So, hold it. You're gonna, I recommend you vary your dynamics in this solo, okay? Don't just play it all at the same volume intensity. Dynamics are the loudness or softness of a tone. So you want to, and when you play it emotionally, and the rake on the right hand here, you see what I'm doing right here? You can pluck this individual note. See, the first time I just plucked it, the second time I raked it and give it vibrato, okay? So you're bending back up the second time you hit that first time. That's pretty self-explanatory, guys, okay? So first time, second time. When you bend, release it back to pitch. You're pulling off, hammering back on, okay? And then you're resting there on the 15th fret of the B string. So that's your whole first line. Okay, that's the second part of that. First you bend, and second time. And then the third time you go in. You pluck the 15th fret of the B string, and then you slide that to the 14th fret of the B string. See that? So let's go through the whole line. Hold that. That's your first time through. Second time. Third time through. That's a trill, what we call hammer on pull off. You're hammering onto the 15th fret from the 14th fret on the B string, and you're resting in there on the G string on the 12, 13, 14, 15, 16th fret. All right, so there you go. You're getting ready to go back into that phrase again, and you're right here on the 15th fret of the B string. So that's how that whole first part ends. So you're just playing those same notes over and over. Rewind the video and look at the fingers I'm using. So let's go through the whole line. So when you bend that, when you release that the second time through, You're going to make that slide simultaneously almost. And then back through like we said. 15th fret of the B string. Okay. I plucked that to give it a little bit more character. That's the individual thing. All right. Now, as you go to the second part of the first solo here. Okay. All right. So the way we go into the second part, we're sliding. I slide with your index finger, and this is 3, 5, 7. Index finger to the 7th fret of the D string. This is E, A, D. Then you're at the 9th fret of the D string. Then you're on the 9th fret still of the G string, and you're back to the 7th fret of the G string. Okay, so that's that whole phrase. Again, personal taste, recommendation, to have that be like a double stop sound, where they both ring out at the same time. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. That's a color thing. So let's go through that second part of that. Now here we go. Slide. You're here at the 7th fret of the G string, 9th fret of the G string, bend. Again, this is one of those character bends, I like to call it. It's really, you're aiming for the whole step, but it's kind of blues. It's a little under the pitch to me. So, when you come back to pitch, you see how I'm right there, the 7th fret of the G string. I slide back into the 6th fret of the G string, and I pluck it, okay? So let's go through that whole phrase so far. Vibrato. I'm going back into this pitch, the bend on that, and how it's kind of bluesy. Listen to the record more. You hear it? Now, when we get here, there's a trill on the 7th fret of the G string. What you're doing is you're trilling here, 7th fret of the G string, coming across to the 7th fret of the D string, and you're basically sliding into the 9th fret of the D string. Okay, it's not like you're going to be picking this note. You're going, see that? You're not doing this. You're just using this as your sliding point. So let's go through that whole phrase. And then you repeat that same thing. We just did that. So this is where I go to right here. Some people go high up on the frets. I like to keep it tight. And right there, you're hitting that note, which is the high E string. You're on the 10th fret of the high E string. So after you come at that second half of that, now what I do is It's the same phrase idea. I just kind of walk it over. Okay, so 10th fret of the B string to the 12th fret of the B string, 10th fret of the high E, and that's 10th fret of the high E, and then go to the 12th fret and that bend. Again, aiming for that whole step bend, and sliding as you bend back to release it back to pitch. You slide back a half step, and you slide back and you pluck that note. Okay, so again, right there, 10th, back to the 10th fret of the high E. So let's go through that whole second half of the first solo. So here we go. Sliding into this note adds more flavor. Not absolutely necessary, but it does add more. Okay, so that's the whole first part of the solo for Voyage to Atlantis by the Isley Brothers, played by Ernie Isley. All right, part 2 coming up. Hey, welcome back. This is part 2 to the solo, legendary solo. Once again, Ernie Isley, the Isley Brothers, legendary group, legendary song. All right, so we finished our first part. Now, the second part of this is after he sings a verse. That's how it starts out. Very slow for you guys. So we're at the same place we was for the first solo, first part of the solo here that I just gave you guys before. You're at the 17th fret of the B string. Again, this is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Bending up a whole step. And think of emotion, okay, guys? This is very bluesy to my ear. So think of feel, not just the technical note I hit and it sounds. No, you have to put some. And when you go back and listen to the record, he is playing emotionally, okay? So what we're doing is we're bending up, back down, hammering back down here to that fret. And going right over here. Okay, we're on the G string, 16th fret of the G string. You can do a hammer on. There, see how I did that? I didn't pluck it. This is plucking. This is hammering on. Either way, that's a matter of taste. Again, dynamics are important with this. Vibrato. Now, as we come up here, we're gonna come. Okay, that's the whole second part of this. So, you're here on the G string. You see that? All right, so we're at this is 3, 5, 7, 9. So We're on the G string. We're bending up that whole step on the G string, 9th fret. As we're bending up, while we're at the apex of that bend, we release that bend and go into these two notes right here, which is, we're here on the 7th fret of the high E and the B string. And we come back to that note. See that? Now we bend this note, which is, you're here on the 10th fret of the B string. Again. So as you I'm playing this note here, that's the 7th fret of the high E. Going right here to the 10th fret of the B string. To this note right here, which is the 7th fret of the B string. Pulling off to that, by the way. Here's the second half going into this. I'm bending back to the same note, which is a G string, the 9th fret of the B string, and doing that same riff again, pretty much, where I'm going back to the E and the B strings on the 7th fret. So let's go through the whole thing. Here we go. That's the last part of that. Okay. You're bending, you're on a G string, bending them. Bending up, back, play it again, pluck it again. And now you're right here on the 7th fret of the G string. Again, going for the whole step, but with bluesy feel. I staccato. Not this. That's just as good, but I feel like that gives the solo a little bit more pop in there. So as you bend back, then this is the 9th fret of the D string. Back to this note and back there. So you're just going back and forth. And of course, we just said that this is the 7th fret of the G string. Okay. This is the 9th fret of the G string, 6th fret of this is the 9th fret. Let me go back, sorry. This is going to be the 9th fret of the D string. I don't know if I said G or D, but this is D. You're going to the 6th fret of the G string right here. Half step higher up, sliding up a whole step. Fingers, I recommend, I know it's a little different, but I go to the 3rd finger right here simply because I am sliding up and bending up that half step. So as you bend up, hammer back down and pull off to the 7th fret of the G string. See? And now the second part of that, the last part is we go up. Okay, that's 17th fret of the high E string. You're bending up, whole step, to this note right here, which is the B string. This is the 15th fret of the B string. Seventeenth fret of the B string, back to the 15th fret of the B string. Okay, and this is the G string. This is the 16th fret of the G string. So let's go through the whole thing. And now we go back here. Okay, that completes the that part of it. So what you're doing right here, we're back in that same B minor pentatonic area. Okay, look at my fingers. Again, you're here, this is the 10th, you're off the 10th fret and you're playing off the 10th fret and the 7th fret. This is the B string, 10th fret, 7th fret E. See? Okay. Okay, so I'll do it real slow for you guys. That's faster. So as we come across here, and those, you're just playing between those two notes, okay? It's actually 3 notes right here. These 2 notes and this note. Now when we come across, we are on the 9th fret of the G string. 9, 7, 9, 7. See? So, the little move here, you're on the 7th fret of the G string and you're hammering onto the 9th fret of that same G string and bending. Again, my style is mixed in with this. It's hard. When I'm doing this, that's probably, I'm not saying he plucks this string, but I pluck some of my strings for that dynamic effect. You just bend that up. Whole step up, but bluesy, okay? So as you come back to pitch, it's the same phrase as before. So you hit this again, half step lower, which is the 5th fret. The 6th fret. That's a slide back to the 7th fret of the G string. So you go to 9th fret and then you hit that, you play that and then you bend it. Then there's a trill back to 9 to 7. So let's go through that whole phrase. If this is a little difficult to bend, and if you just bend it, that would still be valid. All right, that ends part 2 of the solo for Voyage to Atlantis by the Isley brothers, played by Ernie Isley. We're about to get on part 3 of the solo. Peace out. Hey, welcome back. This is part 3 to the legendary solo by Ernie Isley in the Isley brothers. The song is Voyage to Atlantis by the Isley brothers. Okay. All right. So we're about to get into the third part of it. All right. And so this is the same spot we've been at. That's the cool thing about this solo, is that it takes off from the same place each time, and it comes in at 1, 2, 3 different times during the song. It interjects and it starts the same place, but the notes are different each time. Each time is not the same riff from here. All right. This time you're bending up, you're at the same fret we've been at. And if you've seen the other parts, I'm not going to call out the fret names and the notes and stuff because you already know that. So I'm just showing you the variations that he's doing. So you're pulling off right there. Now, when you're on the 15th fret of the B string, what you're doing is you're hammering on to the 16th fret of the G string, see? And you're doing it like playfully twice. Back to the 15th fret of the B and back to the 16th fret of the G. All right? That's how that third part of the solo comes in on the record. All right? Now, when they come up here, all right, that's the second part of the third part of the solo on the record. So same area, we're in that same B minor pentatonic space right here, that 4-finger position, and what we're doing is we're bending up. All right, so you're here, same place we're bending too. So you're bending, you're on the 9th fret of the G string. You're bending up, aim for that whole step there. Playing this note, which is the 7th fret of the B string. You're bending up, this is the 10th fret of the B string. So, all right, notice my fingers. See, I come there, which is the 7th fret of the high E string. All right, so let's do it again. Hammering on with my pinky right there. I pluck it too. It's a hammer on just for emphasis, because bring it out. Again, that can be a matter of taste. Here on the 10th fret of the high E. Now, after I'm here, I'm back here to the 7th fret of the high E string. Let's go back. Here we go. All right, so that's your 7th fret of the B string, and I like it to ring together sometime. It gives it a certain character. See that? All right, so let's go through that. I go back, so I go back 10th fret of the B to the 7th fret of the high E. Classic blues lick there. You're just bending up. You're on the 9th fret of the G string. Bending up that whole step in a bluesy way. 7th fret of the G string back to the 9th fret of the D string. So this time I take off for that riff, which is the 9th fret of the D string to the 6th fret of the G string. Same riff we've done before. I often would use my third finger right here on the 7th fret of the G string and slide to the 9th fret of that same G string, okay? Bend it. A bluesy whole step with the vibrato. I typically would slow my vibrato down to make it more like a voice. So let's go through that. So that bend back to the pitch. Again, here on 7th fret of the G string. Back hammer back on to the 9th fret of the G string and pull back off to the 7th fret of the G string. And now I do this. I come to this note. I've seen some people come higher. I come right here to keep everything tight. And that is your 10th fret of the high E string. And you can do a little half step slide into that. All right, so that is part 3 of the solo for the Isley brothers. And I want to thank you for coming. Rewind the video, take it slow. It's a great solo to learn, very fun to play. All right, peace out. A Mind for Life.